In this video, we're going to take a look at two things, absolute value and order of operations, both of which you should have seen before at some point. So just a quick review, that absolute value is basically just the distance away from zero that a number is on a number line. So if we have a number line, we have 0 in the middle, and let's say that 2's over here and negative 2's over here. Well, if I were to ask you what the absolute value of 2 was, 2 is 2 units away from 0 on the number line. Between 0 and 2, there are 2 units, and so the absolute value of 2 would be 2. But negative 2 is also 2 units away from 0. So negative 2 is also 2 units away, so the absolute value of negative 2 would also be 2. Distance away from 0 is always going to be a positive number. You can be 5 units away from 0 or 10 units away from 0, and so absolute value is always going to be a positive number. Distance is always going to be a positive number. So the absolute value of negative 13 is just going to be 13. The absolute value of 21 is going to be 21. And if they ask us to do some operations with absolute value, we do the absolute value part first, and then we do the operation. So the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. The absolute value of negative 5 is 5. Then we add them together, and we end up getting 8. Okay, so go ahead and try the other ones on your own. The only thing that might be a little bit weird is when you get down to something like number 6, you do have to do the math inside the absolute value symbols first before you take the absolute value. The absolute value symbols are somewhat like a pair of grouping symbols, just like parentheses would be when you're doing order of operations. All right, so for the next section, we're going to take a look at order of operations, and these are just a set of rules that you follow to simplify expressions. So we're going to use to simplify expressions. And you may have heard either PEMDAS or GEMDAS. I usually use GEMDAS, so it's G, then E, and then MD on the same step, and AS on the last step. So G would be for grouping symbols. And so that could be like parentheses or brackets. A division, a long division bar separates it into two groups. There's the top and then the bottom. Absolute value might be another set of grouping symbols. Okay, then E is for exponents. Now multiplication and division are together. They happen together on the same step. So you do multiplication and division moving from left to right. And same thing with our last step, addition and subtraction. They're on the same step, moving from left to right. So, order of operations. First thing you do is you check to see if there are any grouping symbols. If there are, you take care of whatever's inside those grouping symbols. Then you move on to exponents, simplify any exponents. Then we move on to multiplication and division, checking from left to right. And then last step is addition and subtraction, checking from left to right. So down at the bottom, we have a couple of expressions that we're going to evaluate. So we have 7 plus 54 divided by 3 times 2. So we do not have any grouping symbols. We do not have any exponents. So now we're going to go to multiplication and division, moving from left to right. So the first thing that we want to do is look through, and we actually have division here, and then we have multiplication right here. So the first thing that we want to do is the division, 54 divided by 3. So we have 7 plus 54 divided by 3 is 18, and then we have that times 2. So now we're down to addition and multiplication. So multiplication would be the next thing that we take care of. So 18 times 2 is going to be 36, and so we have now at the end 7 plus 36, which ends up being a 43. And so when we simplify that expression, we end up getting 43. Okay, for the next one, we have 17 minus 2 to the 5th power divided by 4 plus 6. So again, we do not have any grouping symbols, so the next thing we have to do is take care of our exponents. So 2 to the 5th power means that we're going to multiply 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 5 times. So this right here means that we're going to multiply 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So it's 5 2's. So when we multiply that out, we end up getting 32. So we have 17 minus 32 divided by 4 plus 6. So now if we look at our operations, we have subtraction, division, and addition. So using our order of operations, division is going to come first. So we have to divide 32 by 4, which is 8. And so we end up getting 17 minus 8 plus 6. And so now we have only addition and subtraction left, so those go together on the same step, moving from left to right. So I'm going to take care of the subtraction first because it's on the left. And so 17 minus 8 is going to give me a 9. And now I'm just left with the 9 plus 6, which is the 15. Okay, try the next one. See what you come up with for an answer on that one. All right, so when you work through that one, you should end up getting a -9 when you go through and simplify all of that. If you didn't get it, just go back, double check, and see if you can find your mistake. If not, we can talk about it tomorrow. The last one, though, is pretty complicated. With this one, we have just about everything. We have this great big division symbol, which is a fraction. And what that tells us to do is take care of everything on the top and everything on the bottom before we divide. So it's kind of an imaginary set of parentheses. So now we can take care of the top. On the top, we have 7 minus 2 squared, all in parentheses. So 2 squared is going to be 4. So I really have 7 minus 4 plus 17 on the top. And then on the bottom, I have the -14 plus 2 times 5. So if we keep cleaning up the top, 7 minus 4 is 3. And then we have 3 plus 17, which is going to be the 20. On the bottom, we have addition and multiplication. So the first thing we have to do is multiply the 2 times 5, which is 10. And then we have -14 plus 10, which gives us a -4. When we divide, we end up getting a -5. All right, so that's it for today. Just making sure that we have reviewed absolute value and order of operations before we move on. So go ahead, try the problems that are assigned in Math Excel, and we'll take a look at more of these tomorrow.